Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Kristen Bandy, and it's American Heart Month. Today we're going to speak with Kristen Ferguson, whose son Sloane has a complex heart defect, and we're going to discuss the importance of getting a fetal echocardiogram while pregnant. Hey Kristen, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So let's jump in. What led you to get a fetal echo?
Well, my husband Brock in 1981 was born with a congenital heart defect. So my obstetrician in Jonesboro, every pregnancy that I have ever had, after the 20-week ultrasound that you have there, wants me to follow up here at Arkansas Children's Hospital and get a fetal echo just to make sure that there is not any congenital defects with the baby.
Now, your husband had his heart surgery here as well.
He
right?
did in 1981. He had his heart surgery and has done great ever since.
So during that appointment at 24 weeks, right?
Yes.
You found out about Sloane's complex heart defect. What happened after that?
Once we processed everything, it kind of settled down emotionally. The team at Arkansas Children's Hospital set up follow-up appointments for us. So every 4 weeks, they wanted me to come back for another fetal echo to monitor the baby as he was growing. So as he got bigger, they would be able to tell more about his exact defect, the exact size of all the arteries, kind of what they were preparing for whenever he was born.
Right, so all of that prep just told them what they needed to have ready to go once you delivered.
Yes, that's correct.
That's amazing. So once he was born, he was rushed over to ACH from UAMS. What was that process like for you?
The process was scary. It was unknown. He was stable when he was born, so that was a blessing and something we were thankful for. We knew as soon as Angel 1 got to UAMS that they took over care and were taking him here to ACH and that he would be well taken care of.
Yes. And one thing after another happened to Sloane. Can you very briefly tell me just the little timeline of all that happened the first few months?
So he was born on December 17th of 2015. 7 days into that, he became septic and had necrotizing enterocolitis, had to be moved to the serious end of the ICU floor and intubated. Day 14, he had a bowel perforation and had to have an emergency surgery on his intestines. Let's see, 2 months old, he had his first heart surgery, and then 3 months old, he was able to have his full heart surgery repair.
He had a tumultuous first few months of
Yes.
life for you both.
Every time things started looking up, then he decided that wasn't the way he wanted to process things.
Like, just kidding.
Just kidding, Mom.
Do this again. So those were not easy months for you. How is he now?
Sloane is doing really well now. We came home when he was about 6 months old. The first few years, we were kind of adjusting a little bit slower to his milestones. Mm-hmm. But now he's in kindergarten. He's your normal, typical 6-year-old boy, loves to play and run around, and we're just grateful and thankful that he's here with us.
Absolutely. So you spent 6 months here at Arkansas Children's.
Yes.
What was that like, living out of a hospital?
It's difficult, and I think more physically for the child, mentally and emotionally for the parents and the caregivers that are there with them. Right. Just now looking back, it would be easier to just try to take things day by day. Mm-hmm. Focus on today and what the goals are for Sloane today.
Right.
And then work your way toward the future.
What did you do instead of that? What was
my goal was, how do we get home as quick as possible?
Gotcha.
And so when it was like, no, it's not going to be this week,
right,
I would get really emotional and sad.
So,
and it wasn't the best thing for him. And
right,
you always want the best for your children. And I did, but I also wanted to go home.
Sure.
So,
Which hindsight is 2020.
Yes,
I mean, there's no
absolutely.
way in the middle of that to rationalize that with yourself. But, for the parents out there facing something similar, that's really good advice to, one day at a time, manage your expectations.
yes.
One day at a time.
Yes, one day at a time.
Keep your sanity.
And connect to other parents that have been through long hospital stays, who have children with complex congenital heart defects. I mean, the community of mothers and fathers that have gone through this before were a blessing and very helpful to us.
Oh, I can imagine. So, parents facing a state like this, other than taking it one day at a time, is there anything that you would recommend that they do to make their lengthy stay at the hospital easier?
I would recommend, like I said, touching out with other families. I know that there's some Facebook groups out there that recommend things that can make your hospital stay easier, such as if you need different toiletries, egg crates, longer phone chargers that may not reach where you're able to sit at certain times. So things like that, but mostly I would say ask questions. Don't feel afraid to reach out to someone. The nurses and doctors are wonderful. If you have any questions or want to be able to connect to a parent and you don't know anybody, just reach out and ask them, and they can get you connected to parents like us that have been through
That's such good
hospital
advice.
stays.
That's incredibly good advice. So he's 6 now.
Yes.
What is his care plan like now?
So we are coming yearly for follow-up cardiology appointments. He has an echo to see how his conduit is, if it's growing, if his arteries are growing. Eventually we will have to have that replaced. So it stays one size, and then Sloane obviously will grow as he gets bigger. So when he outgrows the conduit that he has now, he will have to have open heart surgery to replace it. But we're hoping that'll be several years down the road, and he's a little bit bigger and can understand a little bit more about what's going on.
What's going on. And so you said he's doing well in kindergarten. He's just a regular, happy 6-year-old. No issues?
Yeah, he's
settled in?
He's a typical 6-year-old boy. He would much rather be in kindergarten for the social aspect rather than academics. But he has a wonderful team of teachers that help him throughout the day and get him to where he needs to be.
And he's giving you a run for his money, isn't he?
He is. If you didn't know him, you wouldn't know that he had been through everything since birth. So yes,
good.
his
That's
personality is thriving.
So what would you say to parents facing the same thing that you went through?
I would say if you have a history of any sort of congenital heart defect in your family, definitely go get a fetal echo. We obviously didn't get the best news that we were hoping for, but it allowed the doctors to be able to plan for Sloane's birth and when he arrived at the hospital, and kind of have a plan of care for him when he was born. Just take it day by day. Reach out to other mothers that have been through the same thing. Trust the nurses and doctors and ask questions, and just, like I said, take it one day at a time.
So that fetal echo is just very important.
Yes.
If you hadn't gotten that, I mean, the care would have probably still been there, but the knowledge before you even had the baby was just so valuable.
I'm a planner in general.
Yes.
I want to kind of have a plan for how my life's going to go. And obviously Sloane didn't, but this allowed us to kind of prepare for his arrival as well. So yes, definitely get a fetal echo if you have any sort of history of heart defects in your family.
As a planner, and Sloane not being a planner, have you eased up on that at all since kind of letting go of that?
No. I've learned more to go with the flow and understand things aren't going to happen the way I would prefer them to happen. But it's all, it's all in God's plan. It's all going to work out, and he's a wonderful, thriving 6-year-old. So we couldn't ask for anything more.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank
Sloane
you.
really is a super adorable kid. I loved looking at all his pictures and reading his story, and
Thank
I
you.
hope that the future is just as sweet for him.
Thank you. We do as well.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. You can go to our website to learn more about our Heart Center and to hear Sloane's story. Have a great day.